Shravanam Diaries podcast.
Hare Krishna everyone, we're continuing our Saturday Q&A in this back to horizontal format, YouTube format. And actually, I don't know about you, but I'm starting to have cold feet, in the sense that first of all, I understand that answering questions, I'm not on such a high level yet that my responses or my explanations are perfect. I know they're full of imperfections, and I may, just like I am myself quite critical. You know, sometimes I hear other people answering questions and I'm like, well, this could have been said, that could have been said. And now I'm myself in the arena now. So I really pray to be an instrument in the hands of my spiritual master to answer questions according to the Siddhanta and according to Guru Sadhu Shastra. And very humbly, I'm just, as a good friend of mine suggested, that you're supposed to be there in the arena, fighting for what you believe in, and if the critics are sitting in the audience and they're not fighting in the same arena, then I don't want to hear those comments. So I know that anybody who is also trying to do something in the movement of Srila Prabhupada, they will encourage me, even though I may be very new at showing my face to the audience. Basically, running a podcast for almost 3 years is so wonderful, so heart melting and heart exciting, and I just love it. I just really love it. But showing my face to the audience, that's kind of it's not very I'm not the person who is used to that, to be honest. That's why I feel kind of uncomfortable yet. But it's something that I'm willing to try to do my best at. So we stopped last week. We were answering the question of the weird one, and he was questioning us regarding the pronunciation and the reading of the Shastras we mentioned, regarding purity, external, internal. And let us go back to what we have promised you to describe, right? Yeah. So first of all, we wanted to talk about what is purity, in the sense that we want to approach the Shastra, the literature, transcendental literature, while in a pure state, of course. You can do Achaman, you can chant the mantra, right? Oma Pavitra Pavitrova. And then you can approach studying the Shastras. Also, you can, the way you treat Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam. I know I was not born in that culture, in the sense that on the same level as, say, my husband. He would be really, he would treat transcendental literature as they are actually people. And I'm still getting trained and still developing in that way. So, yes, that's how you treat the scriptures. That's how you read the scriptures. Because unless you treat the scriptures as a person, how can you really take advantage of the message they're giving you? So, and different levels of purity, meaning, of course, you can do everything externally, but your mind will be impure. You can externally, take shower, put all sorts of tilakas, and have your asana, have your book stand, and then speak Mayavada about Srimad Bhagavatam, or speak Mayavada about Bhagavad Gita. So it's very important our minds are also pure, and our minds are pure as described in Bhagavad Gita, that when we are not contaminated by these materialistic desires. That's when we are actually pure. Because many people approach Vedic literature with their own material impurities, their own material desires. And they think that the demigods and Krishna is one, and all of these sorts of ideas, or that Krishna's form is material, and all these sorts of ideas. So then you won't be able to take full advantage or even take the helping hand of Srila Prabhupada's purports on the commentaries of these wonderful literatures. And I would say that this particularly also, it doesn't only pertain to those who were born in India, but also those who are from the West. Yeah, that's why you see that those people who are very pious in the West, they read Bhagavad Gita, they immediately, like, I know one Mataji, I think it was Falini Mataji who shared that. When she read Bhagavad Gita, she offered her obeisances to Bhagavad Gita. She didn't know that you're supposed to offer obeisances, but she was so pure-hearted, even though she's from the West, like she immediately offered obeisances. And also I know Vatsala Prabhu from Russia, he's a very famous brahmachari from Russia, from Moscow. He also, I think, he offered obeisances to Bhagavad Gita when he just like, it's something coming from the heart. If heart is pure, no matter where you're from, then you will know that you have to approach the Vedic Shastras with great reverence, and yes, you have to treat them accordingly. So next is relationship with the transcendental literature, Sanskrit and pronunciation. This is something that at present state of affairs in this regard. I'm very excited. That's because I think when I just started doing my podcast, I noticed that I'm reading Bhagavad Gita normally, like how I read, but then as soon as I turn on the mic, my breathing becomes very, uneven. I start making mistakes, the tongue is twisting, and then like all of these. But then slowly you get used to the mic. So similarly now with the camera, I'm like, my breathing is a bit faster because I'm a little nervous, and because of all the lights to make the picture quality. So everything is like that. But bear with me, just like somebody was bearing with me when my podcast just started. Bear with me. Sometimes my mind is going faster than my tongue is able to cope, so that's why I'm trying to kind of like find, actually, like podcasters, they say that you have to, okay, I won't give out that secret, but maybe that will help me to balance my breathing. Okay, I'll give you the secret. The secret that one podcaster gave is that in order to pacify yourself, he's a famous and successful video actor, voiceover actor. You know, there are actors and there are voiceover artists. So in order to pacify your voice, you have to move your hand like this, like slowly. And then as you speak, your speech will be, you know, slower, more mellow, calm, and everything. And I was thinking that just like Indian singers, you know, they say, ah, you know, the hand goes and the voice follows, right? So I'll try to move slowly and then respond, because this topic that the weird one, subscriber of ours, he raised this topic, and I spoke about it in the previous week, but then because of my phone, the recording it ended, so it didn't get recorded. So now let's talk about this. Why is it that Krishna, I already showed on the previous week, that it's written in English letters, Krishna, and then the way that actually in Devanagari it's supposed to be pronounced and written in a different way, right? But because we don't know Sanskrit, that's why we're writing in this way and pronouncing it in this way. So last week I was explaining that basically not only we are writing it Krishna, Krsna, there are many more varieties of how devotees in ISKCON world are like, addressing the Supreme Lord. Some say Krishna, some say in Russian they say Krishna. Krishna. And I'm sure in many different other countries or America say Krishna, Krishna, not even Krishna. Instead of saying prasadam, they say prashadam, even though it's supposed to be prasad, isn't it? I mean, if I'm not mistaken. Instead of Prabhupada, or different ways of how in Russian it's like Prabhupada. It even turns into something else. So there are many more languages who are trying to approach this Vaishnava culture, and they're pronouncing things in their own way. And technically, for those who are born in India and who studied Devanagari and studied Sanskrit in their schools or colleges, they hear that and their ear gets, like in Russian we say "ucha режет," which literally means your ear gets cut. It's cutting your ear. So just like for the Westerners, when they hear our accent, like if I will come and I start speaking Russian accent to them, they don't like it, right? They find it strange, right? So that's why for Indians, when they hear foreigners saying something and then saying Sanskrit in a weird, improper way, I'm sure that for you it's like, why are you doing that? Why don't you learn proper Sanskrit? I mean, I don't know, there may be different reactions, like some people very generous and wholehearted, they will say that, why don't you learn Sanskrit? I can teach you Sanskrit and this and that, right? So yes, it is something that I wanted. Yes, this is what last week it didn't get recorded. I took a book of. Yes, these two books. Remember, I took last week, so I'm not putting it on my. This wonderful book is called The Nectarian Ocean of the Holy Name by Nimitta Matram. And in this book, he describes proper pronunciation. You can see that? See? Kag, ha, gag, harna. I don't know either. I'm trying to learn, but I haven't learned yet. So, cha, cha, ja, jhana, ya, sha, right? There's so many. So he actually teaches, he's trying to teach you how to pronounce Mahamantra properly according to Sanskrit. And also there's this wonderful book of His Holiness Lokanath Swami Maharaj. He also has how to pronounce Sanskrit. So there are devotees individually who are trying to, encourage devotees in general to pronounce Krishna's name properly, because if we're saying Yugadharma is everything, it would be nice if we are pronouncing the names properly, isn't it? Because, Krishna, it's his language, that's how his devotees speak. So it makes sense if we speak his language the way he likes it, or the way he intended his language to sound, right? So, yes, it's something that it's a work in progress. That's all I can say. So the answer to your question as to why we pronounce it is because we are not yet educated in terms of proper Sanskrit pronunciation. Because there are certain Sanskrit classes, courses given in our movement, and some devotees, they are enthusiastically pursuing it. And as I showed you, some devotees are encouraging others to learn how to properly pronounce Krishna's name. We're not yet educated well enough in that regard. And if you would like to contribute in that way, it's welcome. And I myself am a work in progress in that way. And yes, this is the answer. Okay, the last thing. It was not really a question, but it was almost a question from also one of our, I can't even call him a follower or a subscriber, and I would keep his name anonymous, but it's something that a fellow blogger told me last week when we met. He said that, you're publishing so many posts. I don't know how you do that. Like, you always have so much content. And actually, he's a very wonderful writer himself. And yes, that's all I will say about him. And I just wanted to say that what I told him immediately when he said that, I said that I'm trying to be instrument, something to that effect. I said he was chanting, he had beads in his hand. I said that, you pray to the Lord to engage you in his service as an instrument. And I'm also doing that. And I'm not publishing something all the time. Sometimes there's a downpour of inspiration, and sometimes you feel like there's nothing to say as well. But what I wanted to bring up in this today's Q&A is that if there's a question like that, where do you get information, or where do you get inspiration, where do you get content? I would say that there's so much content. I think I mentioned it in my Instagram /Facebook blog sometime like a couple of years ago when I just started Shravanam Diaries. I was sharing my conversation with my sister, Vishakha. We were discussing that actually in Krishna consciousness we have no scarcity of content. There's so much content. So much content. The Srila Prabhupada's books, and they're like, there's like so many Prabhupada's books. Just if you stick to Srimad Bhagavatam, there's a lot of content. If you stick to Bhagavad Gita, there's a lot of content. And then what to speak of, like if you go into Nectar of Devotion, if you go deep into even Upadeshamrita, Prabhupada also said that if you study Bhagavatam, even on one word, you can speak and speak and speak. And that's also one of the one of the advantages of those who know Sanskrit and who are very sincere and very much dedicated to Guru Sadhu Shastra, to study the previous acharyas' commentaries, that they can actually do that. They can just I don't remember who, one of the Goswamis, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, they gave example that we don't create anything new. It's just like with cotton. You take cotton and then you fluff it up. Same piece of cotton, it just becomes more fluffed up. So in the same way, we, as aspiring preachers, we're not creating anything. We're not manufacturing anything. And that's the best part of it. Because we don't have to tackle our brain and think, what should I come up with? Nothing. There's nothing to come up with. Everything is there. You just take it. Just take it. And then you just, you can expand on it. You can dive into it. You can apply it in your life. You can get some realization. Or you can see how it applies in your life. You can just fluff it up and you can present it forward. And that's the beauty of Krishna consciousness, that we already have everything. And actually, if you can't fluff it up, then if you have to think about, oh my god, how do I fluff it up? It's a spontaneous and natural process of fluffing up. I don't know maybe how to fluff it up, so I just say what I heard. Just like Prabhupada said that Guru means somebody told you that this is a pencil, and then you pass it on and say, this is a pencil. And that's it. That's all. Thank you so much for tuning in today. The book links, previous episodes timeline, and biography of the author can be found on shravanamdiaries.com. The link is in the description, and we shall see you tomorrow. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.